It's unlike the land where you can drive in with your armory and do whatever you like. This is a terrain, a creek where you don't even understand. And you want to move in there, there will be the casualty will be so much. And again, you have multi-billion naira investment. And in the modern warfare, guerrilla warfare, it's not a warfare you can just go because you don't even know who is the enemy. And if these your investments are brought down, you lost capital, you lost human resources. And again, the larger deltas are also Nigerians. So do you fight against yourself?
Mm.
So for you to deploy military, there are constitutional provisions. And most times we default it. And Yaradua tried the military. What he saw that it was not working, he came into dialogue, and I think it paid off.
It paid off.
Yes.
Now, you are a spokesman of PANDEF, that's the Niger Delta Elders Forum. Its agenda is to reposition the Niger Delta towards economic development. How long would this repositioning be? There's a 13% derivation that goes to Niger Delta states that is primarily wasted in many areas. And then there is also the Niger Delta Development Commission, which is an interventionist agency that is still working on the Niger Delta. There's the Federal Ministry of the Niger Delta Affairs. All of these, including allocations given to state governments, they have failed to break any ice.
Well, let me first of all clear the impression. Pan Niger Delta Forum is not an elders forum. It's a forum, it's a body comprising of all shades of opinion in the Niger Delta, starting from Cross River to Edo, where you have former governors, former ministers, former special advisors, but at the federal and state level, where you have all the communities, all the ethnic nationalities. Niger Delta is a very complex area. We have so many ethnic groups, and the ability to bring them together to speak in one voice like Arawa, Afanefre, or this Igbo. It was not an easy thing, but in 2016, we were able to bring ourselves together and get a body for ourselves called PANDEF. The idea of PANDEF is one, to maintain peace in the region, two, to dialogue with government. We want to dialogue with government, both at the federal and state level, for them to see reason why the place should be developed, for them to see reason why you need peace in that region, for them to see reason why we need to attract people, investors into the region.
Yeah, but Chief, I'm saying interventions in that region have
I
failed.
am coming because government has plotted to fail. Let's look at the NDDC, for instance.
Yeah.
If you look at the NDDC has a law on how it should be funded. But the government funding it in line with that provisions. They are not funding it. Look at the Northeast Commission, which is equivalent to NDDC. You would never see anybody outside the Northeast on that board. But NDDC is Nigeria. Everybody is on that board. And if you look at the jobs, the Niger Delta people are not even enjoying the NDDC. The NDDC is being enjoyed by outsiders. You have to get one emir or the other to get a job, and the jobs are given to the senators, House of Rep members, and they don't do the jobs. And because they are the power that be, nobody can call them to order. So NDDC has not actually achieved the purpose for which it was created. It was created to develop the region, but I tell you, as I speak to you today, the oil-bearing communities are not developed. They are not even considered at all. Severally, when we are even considering the amendment of the NDDC Act, some of us insisted that the NDDC should give consideration to the oil-bearing communities. But rather than the bearing community, they will tell you local government, state. And those who are not even bearing the oil are the people who are benefiting from the NDDC in terms of human capital development, in terms of infrastructural development. And that is why the agitation will continue in the Niger Delta. Because those who are actually producing the oil, or those communities where the pipeline traverses, are not seeing the effect of this so much, those so-called billions, in their communities. So what do you expect? Every day they get up, they remain the same, and they're going to agitate. And in the past, we observed that when they agitate, they think of breaking pipelines, they think of doing things that can pollute the environment. So PANDEF has come to tell them there are better ways to demonstrate. You don't need to break pipelines to destroy your environment. You don't need to kill somebody to make your point. But you can also stop the oil from flowing without destroying anything, without killing anybody, and the oil will not flow. And as so long as the oil do not flow, we can negotiate. So these are all approaches we are looking at. But PANDEF believe that some other people are benefiting from this struggle. The West. The West benefit much more than even the Niger Delta that are in the struggle. Look at Lagos. They have no oil, but they are getting the largest refinery. So where do you get the oil from? You want the oil from Niger Delta to go to Lagos. So these are some of the issues. Look at all the expatriates, they all run to Lagos. We are getting the coast city, we are getting different Lekki is expanding, everywhere is expanding in Lagos, whereas the Niger Delta is shrinking. And we also have a problem. The political appointees from Niger Delta are not representing the region, they are representing themselves. And so this is
on and on.
yes,
and on.
that has been the problem. And they refuse to see reason with the people of Niger Delta. And it is playing out, even in the primaries that is going on today. You can see what is going on in Cross River, you can see what is going on in River State, and on. Because the people who are representing us by law, they are not there because they are party men. The law says a minister must come from a particular state. Every state must represent a minister. So whether the party wins in that state or not, they must have a minister from that state. So that minister is not representing himself, is not representing his party, but is representing the state. And these ministers are not doing what they're supposed to do. Rather, they go in there, they try to show their power, and they are not relating with the region. And so we have more and more problems. So PANDEF is looking at all this. And most of those of us who are in the Senate or House of Rep, the moment they leave the shore of Niger Delta, they seem to forget why they are there. They are in the parliament to represent the people, but they are not in the parliament in actual sense representing their people. Except one or two who just go there to say, no, this is where I came from. Majority of them are just there for their personal selfish end. So we have big problem. We need political consciousness, political awareness for us to liberate ourselves. So that is why PANDEF has come together to say, look, what do we do? It's going to be a process. We will try to educate our people on what we did and how to go about it in a more democratic, legal and civilized form.
Okay, Chief, let's look at your coming to this studio today coincided with the money the federal government was able to raise for the cleanup of Ogoni land. The federal government this morning is in the news that they have raised $177 million for the cleanup of Ogoni land. And they're expecting $23 million coming from the nation's refineries by the end of the month. Is this effort expected or is less?
You see, what I don't like in my life is deceit. The Ogoni cleanup is not a product of this government. This government came and met it. The UNEP report is very clear that Ogoni cleanup will cost $1 billion. And the United Nations, international communities, prevail on Shell, who is accused of being responsible for the pollution of Ogoni land, to fund it. And 2 years ago, Shell said they had contributed $200 million.
2 years ago.
Yes. And when Buhari came in and launched the Ogoni cleanup, I can tell you the entire region was very delighted. We are so happy. But 2 years after, you are telling us a story that you just raised 117 million. What happens to the money Shell said they are paid to the federal government coffers? Government must be decisive. 2 years ago, we went to government and said, look, precisely on the 1st of November 2016, we met to government in the heat of the renewed hostility in the Niger Delta. And we said, government, we can give you peace But we need a 16-point agenda. And Ogoni cleanup is one of the 16-point agenda. And 2 years after, you are telling us you have bought 170 billion. Because the leadership of the Niger Delta are beginning to question, are beginning to shout, are beginning to ask. And the Ogoni youths are also going to court to say $10 million was released. What happened to the $10 million? Now you have
Released to who?
So that's what the Ogoni youth wants to know. Ogoni youth, the media came, government have released $10 million. So the Ogoni people wants to know where is the $10 million. So because of that noise, you are now saying you have 117 million, $77 million. That is not his point. Let us see what you can do with that 177 billion. And the question is, where does the money Shell said they have just contributed? So combine these two and let's see action. Until we see action, we cannot say you want to. You want to is not enough. You want to is not enough.
Now, Buhari's leadership style, how do you appreciate it as it relates to the Niger Delta?
Well, I want to make it clear, I am a member of the APC.
Right now?
Yes. And as a member of the APC, I expected my party to have done well. But unfortunately, this government has not been able to address the Niger Delta questions. Like I said, we presented 16-point agenda to the Mr. President and the federal government on the 1st of November. Our children in the government, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, 3 months after, came up with a program and said our government is bringing 20-point agenda. And it became viral in the news. Oh, Niger Delta did 16. Government has come down with 20. On the surface, one would think, oh, government has done well. So we said, come, let us sit down. Our think tank, the Niger Delta Dialogue Group, had to sit down to analyze this 20-point agenda with the government. And we discovered that it was just 3.5% of the 16-point agenda PANDEF presented to government.
Okay.
And they came up with the strategic work plan. Some of us became suspicious.
Again?
Yes. In the first place, when the paper was presented to PANDEF, we rejected it. We totally rejected it. Then the Vice President called a meeting on the 3rd of August last year. And right there, we told the Vice President and then the Acting President that this paper, the strategic work plan presented to us, we rejected it because it did not capture the 16-point agenda of PANDEF. But all the same, when we got back home, some people have the view that, look, let us hold what we have seen first. We should not throw the bath and the water. Let them not say we refuse to accept. We are still studying the 16-point agenda. We are still studying the strategic work plan and the 20-point agenda. But I can speak to you. None of this is in the budget. This strategic work plan has never been presented to the Federal Executive Council. The Ministry of Niger Delta was saddled with the responsibility of controlling it or gathering it. They set up technical committee on Niger Delta. They asked us to nominate people. We nominated one person per state. And the people we nominated were not even part of the work plan. And they came up with their own work plan. And we did not accept it. But we are still going on with them. We are meeting on the 16th and 17th of this month in Calabar to review that swap, the strategic work plan, and to see how many of these projects they have said that is in the budget or that will be in the 2019 budget. So government has not done well with Niger Delta. But we as PANDEF still believe that whether government do well or not, we can help the region by restoring peace.
All right, now let's move away from that to politics. The Eagle is an online publication on May 16th, 2017, published something that an article that you raised an alarm that there was an arms build-up in the Niger Delta aimed at toppling the government of Buhari.
Yes, that was 2000.
Was that correct?
That was 2016, 2015, thereabout.
Yeah.
Well, there was a serious crisis. And I have to sincerely thank Dr. Mrs. Judy Dasuni and Chief Alfred Yetespiff, King Alfred Yetespiff, and Iki Clark for coming together, quickly gather people together. First with the Niger Delta Dialogue Group and later to PANDEF to douse tension. What would have happened then was to make sure the economy was crippled. There would have been no oil at all. And at that time, oil price was just $35. And if you don't have oil at all at that price, then the economy would totally collapse. And if the economy collapses, then what do you expect the government to do? There is no government without economy. Then we run into recession. And the economy was collapsing every day until PANDEF moved in with douse tension. Production came down to 900,000 barrels, and it was ready to go down below that. If it had come down to zero level as planned, what would have been the situation? The government would totally collapse because nobody will borrow you money when they are not sure of how you will pay back. Our foreign reserve was falling. So the government was collapsing, but PANDEF came in, intervened, and stopped that declining production and also ensure peace. There was peace. Then the second leg, that would have been crisis in the Niger Delta. You have crisis in the Northeast, you have crisis in the Niger Delta, then IPO would have been also another crisis. So the government is not having resources and they have crisis in their hand, and so what they expect, the government would have collapsed.
Okay, that was the basis for the alarm.
Yes.
Okay, now, what's your relationship with Rotimi Amici? Because it surprises me that you are a very principled man. And when we journalists talk, we say, look, why would politicians move from APC to PDP to that party? It doesn't mean that they don't have any philosophy and no guiding principle. How would you just move from one party to the other? Yesterday you were PDP, today you are APC.
Well, the truth of the matter, when I started politics in 1979, 83,
Okay.
we had what we call manifestos. You join party based on the ideology of the party. But today, the politics, there is nothing like manifesto, and there is no ideology. So all the parties have the same principle, and they're all the same persons. All they're looking for is power. They are not looking for any other thing other than power. Where will they get the power? And that is the principle that is there. So in that circumstance, people can move because there is no principle and there is no ideology. You asked the question, my relationship with Rotimi Amici. Yes, I can say I thank God Almighty that God at a point used me to contribute to the building of a man called Rotimi Amici.
Oh.
People will say, how?
Yes.
When we came in to power in 1999, Odili appointed two of us as his first political appointee, myself and Celestine Omea. Were the first appointees in his government. And the two of us were very influential in that government. So, and I was like the arrowhead. I arranged the meeting between Odile and Graham Douglas and Marshall Harry. So I was very influential. Odile is my personal friend. Rotimi was Odile's aide.
Okay.
And so after the election, Odile sat me down. He said, yeah, he's listening to this program. I said, look, he wants a favor from me. And what was the favor? He wanted me to talk to Graham Douglas, Marshall Harry, and A.K. Oswald to accept Rotimi as a speaker. Rotimi lost the election.
Into the state assembly.
Assembly, yes. And they went to court. And while the court was going on, he pleaded with us. So I have to talk to Delacole, Dr. Patrick Delacole. And Delacole and myself sat down with Odile. I said, okay, if that is what you want, what will he give us? He said, we should ask whatever we need, he will give to us. So I spoke to them, and Marshall said, okay, he will provide the deputy speaker. And the deal was struck. That was how Amechi became the speaker.
The speaker.
Then the election of Amechi that led to K-Leg saga. I spoke to Odile. Amechi had a problem with virtually Odile's wife, Odile's wife's sister, and virtually everybody in the government. There was a gang up against him by Abia Sekibo and Co. Abia Sekibo was the central government.
Okay, the SSG.
Yes. So, and at that time, Abia was minister. So he ganged up with the deputy speaker, Austin Okpara, Uchi Secondus, all of them ganged up against Amechi. As God will have it, God also used me to break that barrier for Amechi. And it was a big battle. God used me to hold on to Odile. But before then, I have to make peace between Oyin and Judith, his wife. She's there. Because at the point they were plotting Judith's fall, the first lady will be going for a function maybe 9 o'clock, but they will tell Judith 9:30. By the time the first lady goes to the function, that was when Judith will be coming, the function have started, and so they made her to look like a proud girl. And don't forget, Judith is a product of Justice Mrs. Mary Odile. And she now saw, how can my small rat becoming proud because we made her a speaker? And the speaker's wife is the second in command, so you can see the importance. Maybe after the speaker, the deputy governor's wife, the speaker's wife. And she believed that she's her daughter, so she should be very prominent in all her functions. But they plotted in such a way that reverse was the case. So I have to broker that Cold War, and restore confidence. Everybody, including Justice Radio Delay, did not support Rotimi Amechi for governorship.
But he got it.
Then something happened.
Oh, what?
On the Friday eve to the primaries, I held Odile down in the court. And we stood for 2 hours. Myself, Secondus, Abia Sekibo, and Gio Ake. And I told Odile, either Amechi or nobody. And before then, myself and Odile had a crisis, and it was a major crisis, which is still today affecting the state admin. So when eventually we reconciled, because I resigned from the government when my advice was not taken anymore, and I saw doom coming, and the old doom came to pass. And so we virtually made up, and when he saw that I was becoming very angry again, he has the option than to say, go and deliver Amechi. This was around to 7. So the following morning, that same night, the news went around. That was how Amechi became the candidate.
The primaries.
He won the primaries
of the PDP.
With the PDP. Then when the Obasanjo K-Leg saga came, what did he call my attention? What do you want? I said, look, since Amechi is gone, let us try Umeya. And that was how Umeya also came. And it was a good thing.
Wow.
But you see, I hate people who are proud.
As the case is now.
Yes, I see Amechi became proud. So the question some of us ask, on what basis? What is your pedigree? What is making you proud? What is making you arrogant? What is making you punitive? What makes you to look down on anybody? Where are you coming from? Have you forgotten so soon your history? So these are some of the things that some of us are not happy with. If today Odile gives you an appointment, right as a governor, if Odile says, see me by 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Odile will be waiting for you. If I mention give you an appointment, it's 2 days, he will not say. So some of us worked out on him, well, because we cannot tolerate that arrogancy in him. And that arrogancy is what is the problem we have in Rivers State. Today, Amechi has more enemies than friends.
In Rivers.
Not only in Rivers, even in the APC. Because of his attitude. Attitude matters a lot. So even in the Niger Delta, let's say Niger Delta, as a PANDEF leader, I can tell you there is no relationship between PANDEF and Amechi as a minister. Rather, Amechi was trying to destroy PANDEF. So what kind of a leader are you that you are home? Look at the APC in Rivers State in disarray. APC was building up to take over power. But today, APC is a confused party in the state. So what kind of party are we looking at? What kind of person are we looking at? If you cannot gather your home, if you cannot make peace in your home, you're always fighting. What are you fighting?
It's obvious that you are not on the same page with Governor Wike.
Of course, I am not on the same page with Wike because I felt the inquiries have ruled. I tried the inquiries. I supported Amechi's governorship. So if inquiries that we are deprived have gotten the opportunity to rule, they should allow other ethnic groups to rule. That's my disagreement with Wike. We're all friends.
But politics is about numbers.
What is numbers? How many numbers do they have? It's not about numbers, it's about power. At the time Wike got the government, not because they have numbers. It's because Jonathan's wife and Jonathan wanted him to become governor to spice Amechi, despite the pleading by all those who made Jonathan. And that was why Jonathan failed. The gods of the Niger Delta worked against Jonathan because he did not listen to people that made him.
All right.
We're all friends. I'm trying to be very frank. We're all friends.
That's true.
Because Jonathan and his wife brought Wike. Otherwise, Ikweres have, let's say there are 5 local governments Ikweres are involved. We have Ikwere local government, we have the Jembo local government. Obiakpo is not only Ikwere, it's predominantly the entire River State. Port Harcourt is not only Ikwere, it's predominantly the entire River State and outsiders. So how many did they have? The Ogonis have 4 clear local government. And majority of the people are Ogonis. The Calabaris have 3 local government. And majority of them are Calabari people. They are not much strangers. And the Crickets have 2. If you look at the Jaws are 12 local government. So what makes them majority? I don't see why they are majority. They are not. It's a power game. When you have power, you can decide what you want. And that was what is going on. If there's no majority, why have they not ruled before? Before people like us came out and said it must be given to Ikweres. Why did they not rule all these years? River State was created how many years ago? Why have they not ruled before? Why must they now hold on to it because they have the power? That is my disagreement with Wike. No personal. No personal. Nothing personal. There's some principle that power must rotate. I believe in power rotation. When I was supporting Rotimi Amechi to become governor, I had problem with my leaders like Graham Douglas and Clark. The judge had problem with me, and I said it must rotate. We have ruled. Let it go around other ethnic group, and I still maintain that power must rotate in River State. It must not remain in one place. But unfortunately, we all move towards APC to effect that. And the way Amechi is going about it, I doubt if we can achieve that through APC.
Who is the governorship candidate of the APC in Rivers today?
Well, we have 2.
Oh.
We have the Amechi faction brought Toye Cole.
Okay.
Then the other group brought Bagdos Abbey. And so it is a major divide. And the Dumo factor, the Briggs factor, is also hanging somewhere. Because he did not contest, and he said, let us do a fair primaries. So the party is divided in River State. We have the Dumo factor, we have the Amechi factor, and we have the Bagdos Abbey factor.
What makes you think that you will not be a loser in the APC by the end of the day?
Well, it is frightening, as a PANDEF scribe, I'm not supposed to be partisan. But because I have the interest of my state, and because I believe it turn by turn, I had advised the APC to quickly put the house in order by making peace among themselves. Well, I had appealed to the APC, including the leadership, to approach peace, to quickly use their 2 arms to embrace peace, reconciliation, forgiveness, and unity. The moment the Rivers people see that there is peace in the APC, there is true reconciliation, and there is that spirit of forgiveness, and there is unity, then they can make a good fight. They can fight Wike. Wike, they are fighting Wike because the people felt the queries of having served for 12 years should pave way for other ethnic groups to take. That's one. Two, the recklessness at which Wike spends money.
Oh, Wike is
Yes,
reckless.
reckless with the way he spends money. People are not happy. You don't use our money to be funding the whole Nigeria. Well, if they can do that, then the entire state will come for them. But the way they are going, it's going to be very difficult. And don't also forget that APC came into power because of the kind of promises they made to Nigerians. And today, 3 years after, some of those promises have not materialized. The Niger Delta in particular, I've not seen any sign of those promises we made to.
And yet there's plenty of infighting.
And yet, instead of us to look at it and be focused, like I said, Nigerian politicians, we only believe in power. We are not looking at the ideology. They are not talking of how the people feel. They don't consider the people. All they know is, oh, how can I get power? If I spend money, people will. That cannot work. We are not saying different things. We are saying the people of this country before now voted the APC because of promises made. And they are not seeing these promises. And as a party, for you to win, you must be united. You must be able to convince people that you can do well. We're not talking about party is irrelevant because who are the people in the APC and who are the people in the PDP? All the persons who left PDP to APC, today they have left APC to PDP. Are they not the same characters?
Same character.
The characters are the people. I bet you spend Rivers people money to fund APC. Wike is spending Rivers people money to fund PDP. And yet, we don't have roads to these oil-bearing communities.
Right,
yet, you receive 30% derivation. You see, if you talk about ethnic politics, I would have been supporting Amechi because it's bringing my own brother, a Calabari man, to become governor. I'm not against a Calabari man becoming governor. Neither am I against Ugodiba becoming governor. But I'm against the procedure, the way it is done. If you are doing something transparently, everybody saw what happened in PDP. Very transparent. Whether you like it or you don't like it, they did their own transparently. So if a party, APC, think they are going to change, then we should learn something positive from them. Their actions from primaries must be transparent. So one man cannot sit down and dictate to the entire state. That is what I'm frowning at. Not because I'm against the Calabari man, or I'm against the Ugodi man, or I support the Ugodi man against the Calabari man. All of us are friends. Magno Sabi is my friend. Dumoli Lubre is my younger brother. Toye Cole is my brother. Toye Cole's father, I just mentioned there, Dele Cole and myself did most of the politics in 1999 that brought Odile and others to power. So if today I am coming to say this is wrong, it's not because I hate anybody, but the procedure is wrong, and it's wrong. Whether you are APC or you are PDP, it's wrong. It's not about the personal matter. The issue is Amechi should approach peace. He must seek for reconciliation. He must seek forgiveness. He must forgive others. Others will forgive him. And he must look for unity of purpose. Rivers State have suffered in the hands of Amechi and his brother Wike. And some of us are beginning to believe that they have an agenda outside the Rivers State. They are having an ethnic agenda so that the Kurema will become governor, and the Kurema will become minister, and the Kurema will become ambassador. Until they prove to us that there is true, sincere purpose, we will not accept or believe them. I don't need to quarrel with Amechi. I don't need to forgive him. I don't need to have him. No. Do the right thing, and the truth shall set you free. That is the question.
All right. Thank you very much.